British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Welcome back to the BCIT Newsroom. I'm Aiden Singh with your afternoon headlines. Today marks the start of a coroner's inquest into the death of Matthew Scott Costin. He was 32 when he died while detained by a peace officer in May 2020. The inquest will be listening to testimonies from witnesses and runs until November 21st in their Metrotown office. Lower Mainland RCMP is not currently releasing details on his death. Abbotsford Police asks the public to check their sources amid surging extortion threats. Chief Constable Colin Watson took to social media to remind residents that transparency is important to them, but this investigation takes priority over the public's right to know.
We ask for your understanding as we balance transparency with the need to protect the integrity of ongoing investigations. As we continue our work, we ask the community to refrain from speculation or assumptions and to treat information shared online as potentially inaccurate unless it comes directly from official Abbey PD platforms. In late September,
Zooming out now, the BC government has brought in new rules that limit when an employer can ask for a sick note, saving doctors the burden of writing them and preventing patients from spreading their illness. Health Minister Josie Osborne says the new rules that started Wednesday will ensure that those who are sick can stay home to recover. The government says that healthcare providers throughout the province have called for relief from administrative burdens, including such notes that take them away from patient care. In Manitoba now, a Winnipeg-based company is bringing some American jobs from Indiana to the Great White North. Duha Color Services, which makes color sampling tools such as paint swatches, says the company recently acquired a competitor, Caldwell Color Limited. CEO Rick Dua says it's a sign of growth.
At the end of last year, we acquired our longtime competitor, one of our largest competitors, that they operate out of the States or operate out of the States. So that facility has now been closed, and we're in the process of moving all of the equipment that we deemed necessary.
Officials are saying the move will create 94 new jobs in the Manitoba capital, as well as new training for 42 existing employees. The Manitoba and federal governments are contributing a combined $159,000 to help the company's plans. A Calgary man deemed not criminally responsible for stabbing 5 people to death at a house party in 2014 is seeking more freedoms. His treating psychiatrist says Matthew DeGrood remains a low level to reoffend and is ready for relaxed rules that would make it safer and easier for him to see his family. The argument was made at an annual hearing today before Alberta's Criminal Code Review Board on DeGrood's progress and whether additional freedoms would be warranted. The physician says DeGrood continues to suffer from PTSD and the effect his actions had on his own family, as well as those of the victims. Looking nationally now, a ranking government official says financial markets are picking up on signals Ottawa is sending about getting serious about defense spending and rebuilding the Canadian military. Kyle Dugan reports on the increasing attention.
Stephanie Beck is a senior bureaucrat, the Deputy Minister in charge of National Defense. Speaking at a Canadian Global Affairs Institute procurement conference, she says she's never fielded so much interest from banks and pension plans. This comes as the federal government moves to reform how it buys military equipment and plans to inject massive amounts of money into defense, levels not seen since the Cold War. Ottawa is seeking to meet its NATO commitments, build up the domestic industry, and rebuild a military struggling with old equipment and aging infrastructure and fleets. Kyle Duggan, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
Looking down south now, despite the trade and tourism hostilities, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu says that she's happy Nova Scotia is continuing a long-held tradition by providing a Christmas tree to the Massachusetts city. The province provides a Christmas tree every year to Boston to thank the city for helping Halifax after the 1917 explosion that killed nearly 2,000 people in the Halifax harbor. Wu says it is a tradition that reaffirms the friendship between her city and the province.
I wanted to make sure that Canadians know Boston is open for everyone. We are welcoming to all. We strive to be a home for everyone in our community, every culture, every generation, and we hope to continue welcoming our friends from Canada and from around the world to come see what's so special about our community.
Wu says she wasn't sure if Nova Scotia would want to continue the tradition, given the U.S. tariffs on Canada. Still looking down south now, the U.S. Supreme Court has extended an order blocking full Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, payments. The High Court's decision Tuesday came amid signals that the government shutdown could soon end and food payments resume, though exactly when is unknown. The order keeps in place, at least for a few more days, a very chaotic situation. People who depend on the SNAP payments to feed their families in some states have received their full monthly allocations, while others haven't received anything at all. SNAP helps 42 million Americans buy groceries. This order will expire just before midnight on Thursday. President Donald Trump says Democrats who released Jeffrey Epstein's emails mentioning him are trying to bring up his ties to the late sex offender again because, quote, they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the government shutdown and other issues. The emails were made public Wednesday by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. The White House accuses the Democrats of selectively leaking emails to smear the Republican president. Epstein wrote in a 2011 email that Trump had, quote, spent hours, unquote, at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim, and said in a separate message years later that Trump, quote, knew about the girls. Trump denies any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Still with Trump, but looking internationally, President Trump has appealed to Israel's government to issue a pardon for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu has been accused of fraud and bribery, with his trial beginning before the war in Gaza even started in 2020. Israeli President Herzog is in charge of issuing pardons and says that a formal request needs to be submitted. ABC's Ian Pennell reports on the response.
In a statement, President Herzog responding that he holds President Trump in the highest regard, but that anyone seeking a pardon has to submit a formal request. And opposition leader Yair Lapid issuing a reminder that Israeli law stipulates that the first condition for receiving a pardon is an admission of guilt and an expression of remorse. Neither of those things have happened.
More tragedy in the Middle East. Pakistanis are burying their loved ones as officials probe the suicide bombing outside an Islamabad district court that killed 12 people the day before. The bombing underscored the challenges facing the government as it struggles with militant attacks, border tensions, and a fragile ceasefire with Afghanistan. Forensic teams and police were combing through the debris at the site of the blast as grief-stricken relatives received the bodies of their loved ones at a hospital on Wednesday. Moving on now to the world of sports. Physical activity has a strong impact on mental health, but as temperatures drop, so does the level of activity for many Canadians. Reporter Avia Boulay has more on how winter weather is affecting motivation and how some are finding ways to stay active.
Physical activity plays a key role in supporting mental health. According to the Mental Health Commission of Canada, staying active can significantly reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Michaela Ismail, a regular participant in group fitness classes, says these classes help her stay motivated through the cold winter months.
The group fitness, everyone is, like I said, energetic, so you pick up on everyone else, and you get lifted up, and so you work harder, everyone cheering you on. So it's more than a workout.
With the winter blues in full effect, people are finding new ways to stay active and improve their overall health. Melissa Pinu, co-owner and motivator at Hype Cycle Club, a Port Coquitlam spin studio, understands the impact of seasonal changes can have on people.
Through the winter, when we start to see a shift in daylight, it really does have an overall effect on your overall mental health, your mood, motivation, anything along those lines.
As temperature drops, finding ways to stay active can make all the difference, both physically and mentally. For many in Metro Vancouver, group fitness classes are proving to be the motivation they need to push through the winter months. Avia Boulay, BCIT News.
With the rise of online betting and prediction markets, public health organizations are devoting resources to people who have become addicted or developed a problematic habit. According to those in the space, it can be helpful for new gamblers to set limits in advance on how much they're willing to lose and how much time they're willing to spend on these apps. Many of the platforms that offer sports gambling, such as FanDuel and DraftKings, also include optional safeguards to time limits or losses. World Cup 2026 will be a soccer championship filled with firsts. The first time that 3 countries have been tapped to host matches, the first time that 48 teams will compete instead of 32. While Vancouver prepares to welcome the world, our downstairs neighbors are doing just the same. ABC's Jim Ryan reports that Dallas, Texas is expecting something unprecedented, another first.
Dallas-Fort Worth has been the backdrop for World Series games, the Super Bowl, a political convention, and the World Cup back in 1994. But the FIFA Championship in June...
Basically, the scale is unlike anything we've hosted here in North Texas.
Travis Houston is with the City of Dallas Emergency Management and Crisis Response. World Cup 2026 will have an extra draw. Superstar Cristiano Ronaldo says this will be his last World Cup. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Star goaltender Thatcher Demko went down in the first period with an undisclosed injury, replaced by Kevin Lankinen last night in a 5-3 loss to the Jets. He would not return to the ice, with the Canucks saying today that he'll miss 2 to 3 weeks. Shifting now towards our weather, it's cloudy, meaning some light rain in the afternoon, but get ready for wet socks and muddy shoes later tonight. Environment Canada issued a rainfall warning for Howe Sound and Metro Vancouver, including Coquitlam and Maple Ridge, reporting 40 to 50 millimeters of rainfall headed for the area. Thank you for listening to BCIT News. My name is Aiden Singh. Stay tuned for a future podcast.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
I would recommend this program for anyone that isn't sure what kind of job they want in media, because you learn everything from like public relations to communications to video editing, like radio, TV. So you do get a lot of experience in all the different fields in media.